it is a contract between the signatories, and as a contract between the signatories, if there is a demand for the nation...
Can I just say, not to interrupt, just want to put this out there. I love Simon Wilson. He's lovely.
I would listen to that man read a phone book.
Oh, I just love what he's about to say. I know what's coming. Some of you do. I love Simon Wilson. I would bear his children were it possible.
Between the signatories, if there is a demand for the nation as a whole thinking, are we going to rethink our founding documents? Are we going to do this process? You don't start with stirring up the racist. You start with the signatories to the document and their descendants actually having a properly formalised discussion. If the Crown thinks that we should reform the Treaty of Waitangi, the Crown needs to be talking to iwi, to the leaders of iwi, about what that might mean.
It's an amazing point by Simon. I literally have not heard someone suggest the same thing. That if we're going to look at the treaty, we should do it with the descendants of the signatories.
Of course.
Is an amazing point to make. And I'm not... I'm surprised that Damien did just dissolve like he got Thanos snapped out of it, because it is such a good point.
I mean, again, you can bring it back to the house thing. Should someone pass away, in fact, this has happened to me in the last 18 months. My father passed away, so the descendants of my father had to deal with all the contracts that my father had signed and sort them out. How's that any different? Not the neighbours in Dad's apartment block. They didn't deal with it, right? The new people, none of those. It was the descendants of my father, his children, who had to deal with all the contracts and deal with all the bank stuff and do all of that kind of stuff. Anything he'd signed, who he wasn't here any longer to respond to, his descendants had to sort it out. Just because these descendants are 6 or 7 generations ago, or 8 or 9 or whatever it is, same.
I just want to talk about what Matthew said there as well.
Yep.
Now, Damien might not believe that that's true, but I think all of us have either seen it or can find it really, really easily. You duck into a Facebook comment field about anything to do with Māori. I saw the Herald put up a story the other day that a road that's being built has come across the remains of a Māori pa, and so costs on that road have increased because they've made an archaeological discovery.
Yep.
The comments below it were disgusting. And it was just a screed of anti-Māori ignorance. And you can find it anywhere on social media at the moment. This debate has given oxygen to some of this country's most hateful, ignorant people. And it's casualized those comments to a degree that I'm not comfortable with. And I think the end result of this is that we need to make racists ashamed again.
This is the reason it's also hypocrisy and ridiculousness was if that road had come across an archaeological dig that was, say, a World War I soldiers' number of graves, they wouldn't have the same. And I'm saying this arrogant, I can prove it. I know those same people making those same comments would not be making them about all of a sudden there's a cost increase to this road because they've just come across a World War I, a place that a whole bunch of World War I veterans or soldiers were laid. They wouldn't. So that's when it becomes about race. That's when the undertones are racist. Simple.
There was literally an example of that story that you described, very, very close to it. A farmer discovered in a bunch of overgrown blackberry bushes a post-World War I ex-soldiers workman's hut. And all the comments under that, it's like, oh, it must be preserved and it must be preserved for future generations and it should be bought by the state and all of this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It must be preserved because it's white people history.
Yeah. And we've
seen
seen
those stories separated by about a week.
Yeah, we've seen that here in Dunedin. I'm sure most places has. If you've got, like, for example, an incorrect spelling of a Māori place name, when it's brought up that maybe we should get the right spelling, people lose their minds. But there's been examples in Mosgiel of a Scottish settler's name spelt incorrectly on a road sign. And of course, we must fix this immediately. This must be fixed. It's exactly the same. All right, this part of the conversation this is really important as well, because I don't think look, I do try and be respectful, and I'm saying this with respect. I don't think Damien gets it. I actually don't think he gets it. I don't think he understands, because he starts in this conversation to talk about when he gets abuse. And again, he has to have it explained to him how when Damien Grant receives abuse for something he's written, it's very different from someone receiving abuse because of their race or their culture. Let's play this bit.
In terms of personal abuse, look, every Sunday I get a whole pile